Hi, welcome back to J.A. BizTown Work Readiness Part 2. Today we're going to talk about appropriate work behaviors, okay? First of all, do you know what an employer is versus an employee? Or do you not know what either of those words are? Well, let me define what those words are first, okay? An employer is the one that hires one or more people, and usually it's for a salary. An employee is the person who works for the employer, okay? Both the employer and employee should have some skills, okay? One of those skills are called soft skills. Soft skills are behaviors shown by good employees. That means they're punctual, they're treating customers with kindness, they have good teamwork skills, and they dress appropriately according to their job or their task, okay? So now that you've done the career types, remember those little wheels that you have with different types of the 4 career types? Can you think of maybe what are some of the interests and the soft skills that are needed and the skills that are needed to do those jobs? For example, the career type for people, the interest needs to be what? Helping people. You must like helping people and communicating it. Or doing child development. Some skills that you'll need, which are what? Skills are things that we are abilities to develop those skills and to do well at them, right? They're not interests. Our interests are the things that we like. So some good skills that a person who works in the people career field would be like counseling, negotiating, teaching. Some soft skills that they would need is to be prompt, tolerant, and friendly. Okay? Now, jobs that work really well for people career types would be a counselor, a daycare provider, a salesperson, a teacher, and a psychologist. Okay? Another career type that you read about was ideas. The interests of someone who wants to be in an idea career field might be puzzles, science, inventing. Skills that that person would possess are problem solving, creating, generating good ideas, and the soft skills would be following through initiatives, having an initiative to do something. Jobs that these type of people work well in, or people who possess this interest, are detectives and fashion designers and architects. The other career type that you learned about was data. Their interests would include numbers, patterns, collecting information, computers. Their skills would be math, puzzles, word games, attention to detail. Some soft skills that they'll possess is being dependable, accurate, professional. The people who are like those type of career types would do jobs like accountant, banker, or computer programming. And the last career type that you read about was things. Some interests that those persons might have are crafts, building, being outdoors. Some skills that they would possess are good with their hands. They must be planners. They can fix things. Their soft skills would be neat, punctual, detail-oriented, and jobs for this type of career is carpenter, firefighter, locksmith, plumber, civil engineer. I think I'm going to put this page so that you can have it printed out and beside you as well. That will help you, because right now is a good time to look at the job postings that I have listed into this folder, okay? You want to get on there and see what type of job fits you at J.A. BizTown. What kind of career would best fit your skills, your interests, and your soft skills, okay? Now, I want you to go ahead and turn to page 45 in your Citizen Guide. On this page, you're going to find your job application, okay? Now, I don't want you to be concerned. There is a printable job application, so if you mess up on this one, don't worry, it's just for practice. But I do need you to fill out a job application and bring it in with you on October 4th to your interview, okay? A job application is the first opportunity to impress an employer. So complete the application, make sure that it's legible, which means that it's printed legibly. So if you want to type it, that would be great. If you would just write carefully and neatly so that the person interviewing you can read it with no problem. Use proper grammar and spelling. And before you bring it in with you on October 4th, check for any errors or anything like that before you bring it in, okay? You can do that with your homeschooling parent. Now, there are two other ways to show an employer that you are the right person for the job. Again, like we said, the job application is your first impression for the employer, right? But a well-written resume and an impressive interview also puts your best foot forward with an interviewer or with an employer. A resume is a written summary of a person's school and work experience designed to spark an employer's interest. A resume also helps an employer hire the best person for the job. So generally in the real world, we would submit our resume first because we're going to draw the attention of the employer to our resume and make them want to call us so that we can come in for an interview, okay? A job interview is a discussion. Usually it's face-to-face, but a lot of companies like to do phone interviews now before they even bring you in to do a face-to-face to determine if you're even suitable for the job. And then lastly, they'll have you fill out an application if you are requesting to take on the job, okay? That's generally how it normally works. But there are still organizations where you can go in and fill out a job application. You don't have to submit a resume, but for actual careers, you usually do submit a resume first. They do a job interview, and then they have you fill out an application because that usually means you're hired, okay? But in our case at BizTown, your first impression that you're making with the interviewer, your employer, is your job application. So again, make sure it's printed well and legibly, and that the grammar is proper, and that you're dressed appropriately for your interview, okay? Key components of a job interview is the handshake, which is a good way to begin and end an interview. That's an important skill, and it requires practice. You want to give your interviewer a good firm handshake when you meet them. So on October 4th, your interviewer will come out and call your number, and as soon as you see them, you want to walk right up to them, shake their hand firmly, and then follow them to the place where they're going to interview. And when they're done interviewing you, again, shake their hand and tell them thank you. Again, you want to make a good first impression and a good lasting impression with a firm handshake, okay? So now is your time to go ahead and finish your job application. Again, if you mess up on the one in the book, then just go ahead and print out the printout that's there. The one in the book, make sure you tear it out and bring it. You don't need to bring the book with you to JA BizTown or to your interview on October 4th. This is your very last video, instructional video for the book. So give yourselves a hand or a pat on the back. You did awesome. And just to sum up this section, I want to ask you a couple questions. Is this true or is this false? When most people apply for jobs, they are required to complete a job application and submit a resume. Is this true or false? The answer is true, okay? The job interview is the best way to demonstrate the right person for the job. Is this true or false? The answer is true. You got it. A job interview is the best way to determine if it's the right person for the job. To prepare for a job interview, anticipate the kinds of questions that the interviewer is likely to ask and then practice answering them. This is also true. I didn't talk about that, about the questions, but a couple pages over in your student citizens guide, you can find some practice questions. I really strongly suggest that with your sibling or a parent, you go through those questions and practice being interviewed so that you are prepared for October's 4th interview. And the last question, how you greet your interviewer does matter, right? True or false? True. It does matter. We want to make sure that we give a great first impression with a firm handshake and a lasting impression with a firm handshake when we're done with our interview. All right, guys, have fun picking out a job, and we'll see you on October 4th.